JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 81. Han Daoguo kidnapped his wealth and fled far away. And Tang came to protect the deceiver and betray his kindness. It is said that Han Daoguo and Lai Bo took Simon King's for 1,000 taels of silver and went to Jiang'an to buy goods. They arrived in Yangzhou and captured Mao King to stay at his home. When Mao King saw Simon King's letter, he thought of his grace for survival and tried his best to follow it. He also begged a girl named Xu Yan and kept her at home to give to Simon King to repay his kindness. Han Daoguo and Lai Bo didn't buy any goods. They spent their days looking for flowers and willows, drinking and sleeping with women. It's only early winter and the scenery is desolate, making it hard to think about the journey. Just now I used my silver to buy cloth from various places and put it in Mao King's house in Yangzhou. I waited until the goods were purchased and got up. First, Han Daoguo invited a cousin, Wang Yuzhi, from the old hospital in Yangzhou. When he came to protect him, he invited Lin Kaihong's sister Xiao Hong. One day, Wang Haifeng and Mao King, Yangzhou salt guests, were invited to visit Baoying Lake. After swimming for a day, they returned to the courtyard. It was also the birthday of Madame Yuzhi, and Han Daoguo invited everyone to have wine with Madame Wang's mother to celebrate her birthday. He sent Hu Xiu, a young man, to invite merchants Wang Dongqiao and Jin Qingchuan, but they were not seen in vain. After a while, Wang Dongqiao and Jin Qingchuan came with Wang Haifeng. At sunset, Hu Xiukai came and was scolded by Han Daoguo, who brought him wine, saying, "This guy doesn't know where he is drinking wine. We didn't come here until he came here. The smell of wine comes out of his mouth. Guess I came here half a day ago and you don't know where I came from. I will settle the account with you tomorrow." Hu Xiu glanced at him sideways, walked downstairs, and murmured, "You scolded me. Your wife is fanning herself at home, but you are throwing her here with her hair folded. Dad in the house, it's not worth it anymore to keep your wife. So I let you get the capital to do business. You are happy here, but your wife is suffering somehow. If you win people, you will be free, and you will be seduced by others. The bastard only talks about Yuzhi." The bastard then pulled him out of the yard and said, "Hu Guan, you are drunk. Just go to your room and sleep." Hu Xiu shouted loudly, but Bai refused to enter the room. Unexpectedly, Han Daoguo was drinking with all the merchants at the banquet. When he heard Hu Xiu fart and smell something spicy, he got very angry and walked out and kicked him twice. "I'm afraid you won't be able to find anyone for a day." He immediately drove him away. Then Hu Xiu, who was willing to go out, shouted in the yard, "How are you going to drive me away? I'm not bad at accounting. You are supporting your wife, but you're driving me away. See if I say anything when I get home." He persuaded Han Daoguo to stop him, pulled him aside with one hand, and said, "You dog bones. It turns out that wine is so hard." Hu Xiudao said, "Uncle, you don't have to worry about him. Let me drink whatever wine I want, and I'll do it with him." Lai Bo pushed him into the room to sleep. Exactly, if wine is not intoxicating, everyone will get drunk. If sex is not charming, people will be obsessed. Lai Bao sent Hu Xiu to sleep in his room. Han Daoguo was afraid that all the merchants would laugh at him, so he drank with the guests at the banquet, passed out wine and laughed. Sisters Lin Kaihong, Xiao Hong and Wang Yuzhi sang, played, sang and danced, gathered flowers, guessed the coins, and ate until the middle of the night. The next day, Han Daoguo wanted to beat Hu Xiu, but Hu Xiu said, "The young man doesn't know a word." Daoguo was persuaded by Mao King's good deeds. "Stop talking nonsense. One day the goods are finished and packed and loaded onto the ship." Unexpectedly, Mao King begged Xu Yan, the woman who sent Simon King away, suddenly fell ill and could not move. Mao King said, "When he recovers, I will send someone to deliver him." "I just packed some personnel gifts," copied the book account, sent the two of them, and Hu Xiu got up. Wang Yuzi and sister Lin Kaihong often set wine and horses' heads as farewells. Starting from the 10th day of the first lunar month, I was speechless all the way. One day when he arrived at the lynching lock, Han Daoguo was standing on the bow of the boat. Suddenly he saw his neighbor Yan Salong coming from the upper reaches by boat to go to lynching to receive an official. When he saw Han Daoguo, he raised his hand and said, Han Shikao, your father has been gone since the first month of the year. After saying that, the boat sailed quickly and passed by. After hearing this, Han Daoguo felt relieved and kept it secret. Unexpectedly, there was a severe drought in Henan and Shandong. Thousands of miles of bare land and fields of silkworms were barren. The price of cotton and cloth was extremely high for a while, with 3 interest added to each piece of cloth. The local vendors from all over the country came to lynching with silver tails to meet them, buy for customers and goods. Han Daoguo then discussed with Lai Bao. There are about 4,000 taels of cloth on board. Seeing that now plus 3 interest, it is better to sell half of it. It is also cheap to pay customs and tax, so just selling it at home is no more than that. If you don't sell it in the market, I sincerely say pity. Lai Baodao said, although what the man said is true, I'm afraid that if I sell it, I will make the boss angry when I get home. What can I do? Han Daoguo said. Dad, it's all my fault. He couldn't protect himself, so he sold 1,000 taels of cloth on Ma too. Han Daoguo said, Chuangqiao, you and whose you are waiting on the boat to pay taxes. I will go to the dry road with Wang Han, the young man, and take these 1,000 taels of silver to report to Dad first. Lai Bao said, when you get home, at least ask Dad for a letter and give me the money. Dad, pay less taxes and let the boat sail first. Han Daoguo promised. Wang Han and Zhao Lang dressed up as pack animals and went to their home in Qing County. Entering the city one day, at the south gate of Wangsheng, the sun was gradually setting. Suddenly, I bumped into Zhang En, who was pushing a cart of wine, rice, and salt out of the south gate. When he saw Han Daoguo, he called, Uncle Han, you are home. Han Daoguo saw that he was wearing filial piety and asked why. Zhang En said, my father died, and tomorrow will be the 9th day of March. My aunt asked me to take this wine and rice box to the grave, and I will burn paper with my father tomorrow. After hearing this, Han Daoguo said, it's hurt, it's hurt. Sure enough, pedestrians on the road say what they say is true. Take the lead and enter the city. When he arrived at the cross street, he made a plan in his mind, stay here. I want to go to Simon King's house. But now that he is dead and it's getting late, why not go home and stay overnight and discuss it with my wife? It won't be too late to go tomorrow. So he and Wang Han walked to the house on Shizi Street. After the two got off the bus, they sent the rushers back and asked to open the door. Wang Han carried his luggage in piles into the hall and went directly to his home on Shizi Street. After the 2 men got down, they sent the rushers back and asked to open the door. Wang Han carried his luggage and carried the pile into the hall. My wife greeted the door and bowed to the Buddha. Wang Liwer took off his clothes and sat down for him, while the girl ordered tea. Han Daoguo first told what happened on the way back and said, I bumped into 4th brother Yin and Zhang En on the road, and then I found out that my father was dead. He was fine. Why did he die? Wang Liwer said, there are unforeseen circumstances. Wind and cloud, people have temporary misfortunes and blessings. Who can protect the impermanence? Han Daoguo opened the stack and took out the many clothes and soft items he had kept in Jiangnan, as well as the 1,000 taels of silver, and placed them one by one on the king. My wife opened it and saw that it was all white and snowflakes, and she asked, where is this? Han Daoguo said, I heard the news on the way, so I sold this 1,000 taels of silver first. He also took out 2 bags of 100 taels of silver, because he asked his wife, after I left, did he take care of you at home? Wang Liwer said, it's okay when he was there, but now you are giving this money to his home. Go, Han Daoguo said, I just want to discuss with you. How about we keep some and give half to him? The wife said, Bah, you stupid slave, you will never be stupid again. Now that he is dead and there is no one here, what does it have to do with us? Don't worry, you can give him half and leave it to him. My son, I want to ask you about your whereabouts. Why don't you beat him hard and give him 1,000 taels? We'll hire a boss, kidnap him to Tokyo, and go to our kid. I'm worried that there's no place for you and me in the palace of our in-laws. The Grand Master, Han Daoguo said, I have left this house behind. I am so anxious that I can't get out. What's wrong? His wife said, You see you have no talent. Why don't you ask the second general to come, leave him a few taels of silver, and just ask him to guard it. When Simon King's family comes to look for you, I'm sure our children have gone to Tokyo. Isn't he brave enough to go to the Teishi's mansion to look for us? Just look for us, and you and I are not afraid of him. Han Daoguo said, How can I change my mind when I receive benefits from high-ranking officials? There is no justice, his wife said. Since ancient times, there has been no justice in heaven, so I have nothing to eat. He is occupying my mother, so that he can't use these few taels of silver. What's wrong? Thinking about his filial piety hall, I kindly prepared a table with 3 animals and burned paper at his house. His eldest wife, an unvirtuous whore, didn't come out for half a day, and she scolded me so much in the house. I couldn't get out, couldn't sit still, and his third wife came out to sit with me when I was behind him. I didn't sit down, so she came home in a sedan chair. Thinking of his love, I should make him do this. 2 pieces of silver. After a few words, Han Daoguo was speechless. The couple had made plans for the evening. At the 5th watch of the next day, his brother Honor was called. In this way, he was asked to guard the house, and he was tied up with 1 or 20 taels of silver. The 2 mischief makers were absolutely convinced, and said, Brother and sister-in-law are us going to go and wait for me to send him away. Han Daoguo took Wang Han Jiaolang and 2 girls to Tokyo with him. 20 carts were hired and all the boxes and soft objects were loaded onto the carts. Go out of the west gate at dawn and go straight to Tokyo. Exactly, smashing the jade cage and flying colorful phoenix, suddenly opening the golden lock and driving away the dragon. Here, the Korean couple went to Tokyo without mentioning it. The next day, Dan Biaowu Yunyang took brother Xiao, Meng Yilu, Pan Jinlian, sister Ximen, Nanny Ryer, and son-in-law Chen Jingji to burn paper with Simon King on the grave. Zhong'an told Yunyang that she saw Uncle Han coming to the house yesterday. Yunyang said, He is here, why can't he come to my house? I'm afraid he will come today. I just burned paper on the grave. After sitting there for a while, I got up early to go home. He sent Chen Jingji to his home and asked Han to go and ask him where the ship was. At first, he was ignored. Then Honor came out and said, My niece has gone to Tokyo to call her brother and sister-in-law. I don't know where the ship is. Over there, let Chen Jingji return to Yunyang. Yunyang was worried and asked Jingji to go down the river to look for a boat. 1 day later, I went to Linking's horse-headed boat to look for someone to protect the boat. Lai Bao asked. Man Han went home with 1,000 taels of silver first. Jingji said, Who saw him coming? Zhong'an saw him entering the city and came home from the grave the next day. My aunt asked me to ask him. He and his wife took away the family and even the money and went to Tokyo. Now that my father is dead, after 7 days off, the aunt was worried and asked me to come and look for the boat. Lai Bao kept silent at this time and said in his heart, Damn it. It turns out that even I have been hiding it. I will definitely sell this 1,000 taels of silver on the road of anger. If I am clean, I will have a hairy heart. It's just that the face is so close, but the heart is thousands of miles apart. Now I can see that Simon King is dead, and I feel relieved to be with him. They lured the young man from Jingji to drink in various singing shops and singing towers on Matu, and invited his cousin to play. An airman carried 800 taels of goods on the boat, unloaded them in the store's room, and sealed them. 1 day after paying the tax, the boat was sent over, and the truck started loading at the mouth of Shinhe River. It went to King County and was unloaded in the east wing of the house. Since Simon King's death, the silk cotton shop on Lion Street has been closed. At the Duen shop across the street, Gan and Chui Ben paid the money they sold and went back to their houses. The house was also sold except for the Menshu Jidang and herbal medicine shop, and the tombs of Jingji and Fu Huo were open. It turns out that he is here to protect his wife Hu Xiang and has a 5-year-old son named Monk Bauer. Han Daoguo's wife, Wang Lior, had a 4-year-old niece, and the 2 of them cut their throats and became in-laws. Yu Niangtong at home doesn't know. After Lai Bo unloaded the goods, He blamed Han Daoguo for everything, saying that he had come home after selling 2,000 taels of silver. The Yunyang repeatedly asked him to go to Tokyo and ask Han Daoguo about the whereabouts of his silver. He suddenly said, "Let's go to bed early. Who dares to come to the house of a Grand Master? No one will cause trouble. If he doesn't come to find you, let's pray to Buddha at home. No one will scratch his head if he doesn't." Yunyang said, "Jai's family also owes us for protecting him, so why don't we get some points?" Lai Bao said, "When his daughter is in his family, he dares to protect only his mother and me. Why not protect us? You can only say this to me at home. If outsiders know, it will be bad if it spreads. I can only treat it as a shame. It's just a few taels of silver, so there's no need to talk about it." Yunyang was helpless after hearing this, so she had no choice but to give up. He was also asked to know how to buy and sell cloth. When the master came, Yunyang asked Chen Jingji to exchange the silver and negotiate the price. The master was not convinced and went out with the silver. Lai Bo said firmly, "Brother-in-law, you don't know the ups and downs of buying and selling. I've been around a lot and know the market. I'd rather sell it and regret it than regret it. I bought this product at this price. You are very good at it. The child is full and the master is full, and it is obvious that he does not know how to do business. I am not talking about it. You are young and don't know what is going on. Why don't I throw my arms out? It's better to give up. It's a big deal." After hearing this, Jingji ignored Xing'er. He didn't wait for Yunyang to come and share the payment. He grabbed the abacus and invited his master back. "I exchanged more than 2,000 taels of silver, handed them over to Jingji one by one, handed them over to Yunyang, collected them, and pushed the goods out. Yunyang asked him for 20 or 30 taels of silver in the house, so he deliberately refused to accept it and said, 'You old man still accepted it. Dead dad, you old man is a backwater. You have to pay for your own money. What did you do to us? You take it. I will never want it.'" One night, a drunk boy who had eaten out walked into Yunyang's room, leaned against the guard bed, and said to Yunyang, "You are young and young. Without your father, you have to take care of these children at home. Aren't you going to harm others?" Yunyang was speechless. One day, Butler Zai from Tokyo sent a letter and learned that Simon King was dead. He heard Han Daoguo say that there were 4 women in his family who were excellent at playing and singing. They agreed on the price and exchanged the money for them. They wanted to take them to the capital to agree to the old lady. When Yunyang saw the book, she panicked and asked the future bailiff to come and discuss whether it would be better to go with him or not. When Lai Bo entered the room, he didn't call his mother. He only said, "Your wife is ignorant. If you don't go with him, you will get into trouble." This is all caused by the deceased old man. It's like selling riches, but if you serve wine please people, just ask Jiali to go out, but there is someone who won't spread the word. What's more, Han's daughter promised the old lady in the house, and there is someone who won't tell the story. What did I say the day before yesterday? And today this conspiracy has indeed come out. Don't you want to talk to him? He appointed prefectures and counties, and sent people to ask for names. I'm not afraid that if you don't give it to him with both hands, it's still too late. It's hard to say that all 4 of them are with him. It's better to send 2 to him randomly today, make dough. This Yunyang pondered for a long time. The fragrance of orchids in Mengyu's building and the plum blossoms in the golden lotus room were both difficult to get rid of. Shu Chun wants to see her brother again and won't go out, because he asked about the jade flute and Yingchun in his room. He was willing to go. So he sent Lai Bo and hired a vehicle to carry the 2 women to the Grand Master's mansion in Tokyo. Unexpectedly, Lai Bao raped both women on the way. One day I went to Tokyo and met Han Daoguo and his wife and told them everything. Han Daoguo thanked him and said if my relatives hadn't looked after me and stopped me at home, although I wasn't afraid of him, I would still have to talk a lot. Saijin saw that Yingchun and Yuxia were both good-looking children. One could play the zither and the other the string instrument. They were neither 17 or 18 years old. He entered the house to wait on the old lady and presented her with 2 ingots of gold ingots. At this time, Lai Bao defeated Yunyang, but when he got home, He only took out one ingot and gave it to Yunyang. He also threatened Yunyang with words, if I hadn't gone, he wouldn't have taken this ingot home. You don't know yet, Han. The two clerks lived in a house alone, calling their slaves and maids, sitting on the 5 rows and 3 feet. Butlers I called him Daddy, and his daughter, Sister Han I, came up day by day and promised the old lady that she would never leave. They gave me 10 for each meal, and they gave me food and clothes. Now that I can write and do calculations, I'm blessed in my soul. I have grown tall and beautiful. The day before yesterday, I came out to see me, dressed like a jade tree in Kyungleen. He is so smart that he keeps calling me Uncle Bao. Now, our 2 families are still busy sewing in his hands. After saying that, Yunyang was still very aware of him. I gave him food and wine, but I didn't accept any money from him. I took a piece of stuff to make clothes for his wife Uxiang. It was no big deal. One day, Lai Bao and his brother-in-law, Liu Kang, went to Ma Tu, Linqing, and sold the cloth items in the store for 800 taels of silver. They secretly sold a house on the right side of Liu Kang's door. Just open a grocery store. He would follow him to worship and have tea every day. His wife Uxiang asked Yunyang to go to her parents' house. When I got to the house, I changed my clothes, beads and hoops, put on gold and silver, and went to Wang Liuer's Natal family, Wang Sopig's house, as a favor, and sat in a sedan chair to see his daughter coming and going. When they got to the house, they still changed into gloomy clothes and then went to Simon King's house, hiding it from Yunyang alone. Lai Bo was often drunk and would come to Yunyang's room and make fun of him 2 or 3 times. Not only was Yunyang an upright person, but he also said that she had an evil heart and fell into the wrong trap. There is also an ordinary servant's daughter-in-law who comes to Yunyang's base and says that her daughter-in-law is marrying the queen so away from home, wearing gold and silver, walking round and sitting round. Pan Jinlian also told Yunyang several times, but Yunyang didn't believe it. After hearing this, Huixiang cursed in the kitchen. Lai Bo pretended to be fat and stupid. He praised himself and said to everyone, "You can only talk about it at home. I'm a fool." So Guzan brought all the money and goods from home. If it weren't for me, everyone would eat Korean food. The old man clamped his lips and turned away to Tokyo. It only made a sound, and it didn't make a sound even if it was thrown into the water. Now I still don't know who I am, and say that I transferred the master's money, so I can tell you what is right and wrong. That's right. I don't know if it's a crotch-cutting person, or if it's an aphrodisiac. Since ancient times, I believed in people's tunes, but I've lost the dipper. Huixiang, the daughter-in-law, scolded her. What a slutty whore. She said that the money transferred by our couple was too big, and that she was married by a layman. When the old man went out, he asked my sister how many pieces of jewelry and clothes she had borrowed, and she said it's my master Yinzi who managed it. It doesn't matter if we go out together as a couple. Every time I go out, I don't expect hungry crows to eat grass. I'll clean my eyes and look at you horse slaves. Live in jail at Simon King's house. Yunyang saw him scolding and cursing, and she found an excuse to shout with others and hang herself. The man repeated it again and again. No one was rude in front of him, and she was so angry that she couldn't stand it. He and his wife had no choice but to move out of the house. When Lai Bao came, Dalale and his brother-in-law opened a cloth shop, selling fine cloths of various colors. They met with relatives and friends every day, and exchanged favors with each other. It's exactly this. The slave bullies the master when he is defeated, and the devil plays tricks on others when he is weak.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.